1. Definition. In today's fast-paced society, where mental pressure is constantly increasing, mental health has become a global concern. Among the various mental health conditions, depression and anxiety disorders are two of the most common and closely linked. However, many people still confuse these two concepts or underestimate their seriousness. Depression is a serious mood disorder, not simply a passing feeling of sadness. Individuals suffering from depression often experience a prolonged state of deep sorrow, a loss of interest or pleasure in everyday activities, and a persistent sense of physical and emotional exhaustion. They may isolate themselves, lose self-confidence, and in severe cases, have suicidal thoughts. Depression is not just a temporary emotional slump, it is a real medical condition that can significantly impact work, education, and relationships if left untreated. On the other hand, anxiety disorders are a group of mental health conditions characterized by excessive and persistent worry or fear, often disproportionate to actual situations. Those with anxiety disorders may constantly feel tense, insecure, or vaguely fearful without a clear reason. They tend to be overwhelmed by imagined worst-case scenarios, even when there's no evidence to support them. Common physical symptoms include a racing heart, shortness of breath, dizziness, sweaty palms, and even panic attacks. Anxiety disorders come in various forms, including generalized anxiety disorder, GAD, panic disorder, and social phobia. One important point to note is that depression and anxiety often co-occur. Many people experience both prolonged sadness and chronic fear at the same time. These two conditions can form a vicious cycle. Anxiety may lead to depression, and depression can intensify feelings of anxiety. In summary, depression is a state of prolonged emotional decline, while anxiety is a state of excessive, ongoing worry. Both are legitimate medical conditions that need to be properly understood and treated. Recognizing early signs and seeking timely intervention can help those affected regain their mental well-being and improve their quality of life. Once we understand the true nature of depression and anxiety disorders, we cannot help but be alarmed by the scale and rapid spread of these conditions across the globe. They are no longer just silent issues affecting a few individuals, but have become a global mental health crisis, a hidden wave impacting every social class, age group, and nation. According to the World Health Organization, WHO, more than 280 million people worldwide are currently living with depression, while anxiety disorders affect over 300 million people. These numbers are not just cold statistics. They are a wake-up call to a quiet pandemic running parallel to physical health crises. Notably, women are 1.5 to 2 times more likely to suffer from depression and anxiety than men, primarily due to hormonal sensitivity, societal expectations, and the burden of multitasking roles. Furthermore, individuals aged 18 to 45, the most active phase of life, are among the most heavily affected. But the impact of depression and anxiety is not limited to psychological symptoms. They often lead to tangible consequences in everyday life. Many people lose the ability to work, suffer academic decline, damage their relationships, and withdraw from social connections. In numerous countries, these disorders are among the leading causes of long-term sick leave, career decline, and tragically, suicide. It is heartbreaking that many suicides stem from silent suffering, internal wounds unnoticed by those around them until it is too late. In modern urban life, fast-paced routines, workplace stress, digital isolation, and superficial social media interactions only worsen the problem. Many people pretend to be strong while hiding emotional wounds they have no space to heal. Especially after the COVID-19 pandemic, rates of depression and anxiety surged as people grappled with loss, loneliness, uncertainty about the future, and a lack of meaningful connection. What's more concerning is that many individuals don't even realize they're suffering from depression or anxiety. They blame themselves, think they're just being weak, or assume it's just temporary fatigue. This lack of awareness, combined with the stigma surrounding mental illness, has led many to suffer in silence, often until the situation becomes critical. From a societal perspective, this is not merely a personal health issue, but a community-level challenge. It affects national productivity, burdens healthcare systems, and fractures social cohesion. Without serious investment in awareness, prevention, and treatment, depression and anxiety will continue to act as silent killers, gradually eroding human potential and community resilience. The danger of depression and anxiety disorders lies not only in the number of people affected, but also in how silently they infiltrate daily life, slowly, quietly, and deeply. Many individuals don't realize they're living with a mental health disorder because the symptoms are not always obvious at first and are often mistaken for normal fatigue or a temporary bad mood. With depression, symptoms typically appear in the form of persistent negative emotions. The person may feel sad nearly all day, every day, and this sadness doesn't improve with rest or reassurance. They begin to lose interest in joy and activities that once made them feel alive, like listening to music, seeing friends, or simply enjoying their favorite meal. Many start to withdraw socially, suffer from insomnia, or conversely sleep excessively as a way to escape reality. They may feel constant fatigue without a clear cause, experience poor memory, lack of concentration, and in more severe cases, have thoughts of death or engage in self-harming behaviors, ranging from fleeting ideas to persistent urges. These signs are not merely signs of weakness. They are internal cries for help. Anxiety disorders, on the other hand, are characterized by excessive and vague feelings of fear or worry. A person may constantly feel uneasy as if something bad is about to happen, even when there's no rational reason. They may worry about their health, career, family, relationships, or simply everything all at once. This anxiety is not limited to the mind. It often manifests physically, causing rapid heartbeat, shortness of breath, sweating, chest pain, trembling, or even full-blown panic attacks. Many live in a state of hypervigilance, unable to relax, struggling with sleep, and avoiding social interactions out of fear of judgment. What's particularly concerning is that depression and anxiety frequently occur together, forming a vicious cycle. The prolonged sadness of depression can lead to anxiety about self-worth in the future, while that anxiety further deepens the depressive state. These overlapping emotions trap individuals in an exhausting loop that's hard to escape without professional help. Understanding the symptoms correctly is the first and most crucial step toward timely treatment. Not everyone with depression cries all day, and not everyone with anxiety appears visibly panicked. Some people continue to smile and work hard every day, yet inside, they are mentally disoriented and emotionally drained. That's why it's so important to listen to yourself, observe your emotional and mental changes honestly, and never hesitate to seek help when it all becomes too much to bear. As we delve deeper into depression and anxiety disorders, we realize that these conditions are not simply the result of a single event or a fleeting moment of sadness. Instead, they are the complex outcome of intertwined factors: biological, psychological, environmental, and lifestyle-related. Identifying these causes and risk factors helps us not only better understand the conditions, but also take a more proactive role in prevention and intervention. From a biological perspective, many studies show that depression and anxiety are closely linked to imbalances in brain chemicals known as neurotransmitters, including serotonin, dopamine, and norepinephrine. These substances regulate mood, emotions, and sleep. When their function is disrupted, a person's emotional stability can be shaken, leading to persistent sadness or overwhelming fear. Genetics also plays a crucial role. Those with a family history of mental health disorders are at a significantly higher risk of developing them themselves. However, psychological and personal experiences are often the most powerful catalysts. People who have suffered childhood trauma, such as abuse, neglect, or emotional abandonment, tend to carry deep emotional wounds into adulthood. These unhealed traumas can silently fracture the psyche, waiting only for enough pressure to crack into illness. Additionally, life-shaking events like job loss, divorce, financial ruin, the death of a loved one, or even a pervasive sense of existential emptiness can serve as the tipping point that triggers depression or anxiety. Environmental and social factors are equally important. We live in a world that often values achievement over well-being and perfection over authenticity. This kind of cultural pressure can trap individuals in invisible cages where they constantly feel inadequate or unworthy of love. The influence of social media, which showcases only the best parts of people's lives, can amplify feelings of loneliness, insecurity, and failure. Those lacking strong support systems, especially people who live alone or the elderly, are even more vulnerable to slipping into depression unnoticed. Finally, our modern lifestyle quietly fuels mental health decline. Staying up late, lack of exercise, poor diet, excessive alcohol or drug use, all of these take a toll on both the nervous system and emotional resilience. Over time, a chronically imbalanced lifestyle becomes the ideal breeding ground for depression and anxiety to take root. In essence, depression and anxiety do not strike randomly. They are the cumulative result of everything from physical imbalances to emotional wounds, from past traumas to present-day pressures. Understanding these causes and risk factors helps us not only better understand the conditions, but also take a more proactive role in prevention and intervention. Although depression and anxiety are often called silent illnesses, many people still believe that one can simply push through them, or worse, see them as a sign of weakness. In reality, these are legitimate mental disorders that require proper treatment, just like any physical illness. And the good news is they are highly treatable, especially when diagnosed correctly, addressed early, and supported effectively. Treatment often begins with psychotherapy, which is one of the most effective and safest approaches. Among these, cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, is the most widely used. It helps individuals identify and reframe negative thought patterns, distorted beliefs, and self-defeating behaviors. CBT teaches people how to face their fears, break the cycles of anxiety and depression, and gradually rebuild emotional resilience. In addition to CBT, other forms of therapy, such as group therapy, mindfulness-based therapy, art, or movement therapy, can also be helpful, depending on each individual's needs and preferences. In many cases, medication becomes necessary, especially when symptoms are severe, persistent, or accompanied by suicidal thoughts. Antidepressants like SSRIs and SNRIs, as well as anti-anxiety medications, can be prescribed to restore chemical balance in the brain and reduce feelings of sadness or overwhelming worry. However, medication should only be taken under the supervision of a licensed psychiatrist, as each person reacts differently and requires tailored dosing. It's critical that patients do not stop or adjust medication without medical guidance, even if they begin to feel better. Beyond therapy and medication, lifestyle changes play a crucial role. A healthy daily routine can naturally boost mental well-being. Regular physical exercise, such as walking, swimming, or yoga, stimulates endorphin production and improves mood significantly. Getting enough sleep, eating a balanced diet, avoiding excessive caffeine or alcohol, practicing meditation, and taking intentional breaks from social media can all contribute positively to mental health. Even small steps like keeping a journal, talking to a trusted person, or caring for a pet can bring meaningful emotional healing. Above all,
People living with depression or anxiety need to be heard without judgment. They don't need someone to fix them, they need someone to walk beside them, someone who understands that mental wounds hurt just as much as physical ones, even if they can't be seen. Family, friends, and close companions, if they learn how to listen with empathy and offer timely support, can become the most powerful medicine no prescription can replace. In short, treating depression and anxiety is a journey, not a miracle overnight, but it is a journey that can absolutely lead to recovery when the person is placed in the right environment, surrounded by holistic care, medical, emotional, and social. Because mental health, in the end, is the foundation of truly living, not merely surviving.
Depression and anxiety are no longer unfamiliar terms, yet they remain silent shadows, quietly weaving through modern life, where people seem increasingly disconnected from themselves. These are not fleeting emotions or signs of weakness, but rather real mental disorders with defined symptoms, biological mechanisms, and a profound impact on physical health, emotional stability, and social well-being. As we've seen, these disorders don't appear out of nowhere. They are the cumulative result of genetics, trauma, toxic environments, and imbalanced lifestyles. And while every individual may carry a different story behind their illness, one truth remains. Each of them deserves understanding, support, and healing. What matters most is the understanding that depression and anxiety are treatable. They are not life sentences, but rather journeys, sometimes difficult but never hopeless if the person receives the right help at the right time. With proper therapy, the right medication, healthy lifestyle adjustments, and, above all, compassionate human connection, people can emerge from the darkness and rediscover the light within themselves. As loved ones, friends, colleagues, or simply fellow human beings, we can start by not judging, by offering a sincere question of care, by listening patiently, or simply by being present beside someone who is hurting. Sometimes the smallest gesture can save a life standing at the edge. More than ever, mental health must be recognized as a core part of overall health. Only when the mind is healed can a person truly live fully, work productively, love deeply, and bring peace to those around them.